Hi, I'm Melissa Batchelor Murphy, and today we're going to talk about the 3 different hand feeding techniques and how and when to use each one and how you kind of make those decisions. The 3 techniques are overhand, underhand, and direct hand. And you want to start off with the least amount of assistance that you need to provide and save direct hand, which is what we see most often in practice, for our most dependent of residents. So let's say we have a person who's pretty much able to feed themselves, that they have skill finger ability, and they just need a little help getting the food from the plate to their mouth. We'd start by offering overhand assistance, which is when I place my hand over the person's and gently guide their hand with the utensil towards their mouth. Be careful when you're doing this to make sure that you don't hurt their wrist or grab their hand too tight. And always help them through the middle of their body. Think about how you eat, and rarely do you feed yourself from the side to get food into your mouth if the plate's in front of you. The underhand technique seems to work the best for someone who's lost skill finger ability or they don't seem to understand what to do with their utensils. At this point, we can use the underhand technique, and we start by getting into the underhand shake position. What this frees up for me are my skill fingers, and that's the part that I'm going to do for them. This technique provides a new additional cue, a motor cue, so that we're really maximizing the cues that we're providing with this technique. One of the first modifications we can do with the underhand technique is if the person only has partial range of motion. In this case, we need to load the fork or the spoon for them because that's the part that they can no longer do. So if a person has very little range of motion, you may need to put their food item into a different container and get very close to them so that they don't have to move as far to participate in the act of eating. So even with very limited range of motion, the underhand still provides the cues that might help them to understand that it's time to eat. The third technique is direct hand, and you want to save this hand feeding technique for people who basically aren't able to participate in the act of eating. But you still need to remember the cues of putting your hand on their shoulder, because remember, they've lost peripheral vision and they may not see you sitting there. And even with this one, you need to make sure that they see the food before it comes towards their mouth. So even lifting it up into their visual field might help them to know that food is coming and open their mouth so that the meal goes quicker. So thank you for taking the time today to watch this video and learn about the different hand feeding techniques and how and when you can use each one. I hope that you'll share them widely with your family and friends, and as long as we're making sure that people are eating in a safe way, anyone can use these hand feeding techniques to help another person to eat.